I'm Nick Snow, watching Government for Oil and Gas Journal in Washington, D.C. It's generally accepted in Washington that a new regulation is pretty fair if no one is satisfied with it. In that respect, the U.S. Bureau of Land Management's final rule for hydraulic fracturing on onshore public and Indian tribal lands was successful. Oil and gas producers said it was completely unnecessary. Two groups representing upstream independents immediately sued to have it set aside. Environmental organizations said it was fully inadequate. No one was happy except, possibly, U.S. Department of Interior officials who were trying to reach a reasonable compromise. Nowhere was this more evident than when BLM Director Neil Cornsey testified before the House Natural Resources Committee's Energy and Mineral Resources Committee on March 26th with U.S. National Forest Chief Tom Tidwell. The hearing ostensibly was to examine effects of the Obama administration's proposed fiscal 2016 budget for the two agencies on, quote, private sector job creation, domestic energy and minerals production, and deficit reduction, end quote. Members expressed dissatisfaction with BLM's new fracking requirements instead. Subcommittee Chairman Doug Lamborn, a Republican from Colorado, said he was, quote, really distressed, end quote, that BLM felt it had to come up with its own rule. We have it under control in Colorado, and there's bipartisan support for making things better, he declared. The rule really isn't necessary. You didn't need to step in. Cornsey responded that BLM would have memorandums of understanding to work with states which already had their own fracking rules. The new federal requirements would provide a baseline for those which do not, he said. But another subcommittee member from Colorado, Democrat Jared Polis, said BLM's final rule fell way short of what was needed. I don't understand how BLM feels authorized to allow use of loud drills near where families live, but does not feel authorized to require simple baseline water testing, he told Cornsey. I also understand that BLM is not required to notify surface owners when it is putting subsurface rights up for lease, Paulus continued. When BLM's director said public notices announced upcoming lease sales, the lawmaker retorted that an announcement in a weekly newspaper is not the same as personally contacting a surface landowner. The main problem with this rule is that BLM has done what it can under existing law, but fracking impacts go much further, said Alan Cartwright, a Democrat from Pennsylvania. He added that he and other Democrats have introduced bills to close what they consider significant oil and gas industry loopholes. Mr. Cornsey, some groups have said your rules don't go far enough. That's wrong, said Rob Bishop, a Republican from Utah, who also is the full committee's chairman, when he was recognized. That's Watching Government for this week. In Washington, I'm Nick Snow for Oil and Gas Journal.